of God's faithful servants is about to pass from this life to glory. God, be ready. Come on home. We're waiting for you. Your mansion's ready. Come on. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of people who were in the room when a loved one passed, and the loved one would start talking, and he'd say, I see angels. Gone. My own grandmother went through that. She had a massive stroke 10 years earlier, couldn't talk, didn't really know she was in the world, but she was in the nursing home, and the last few days of her life she was in the hospital, and my family was in the room, and all of a sudden she starts talking. She said, I see heaven. Then she said, I see Robert, which was my grandfather. And then she said, I see Jesus. Gone. First Thessalonians 4, verses 13 through 14. Brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of mankind, who have no hope. For we believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in Him. Now that's the verse sometimes people like to twist and say, you shouldn't be sad when your loved one dies. Don't grieve like the world. And that's not what he said. He said, don't grieve like those who have no hope, because you have the hope. That's what gets me about people who are so proud to be atheists. I notice that pride seems to run out as they get older. You know, when you're young and cocky, you can claim a lot of things. When you start getting older, you see the final exit is getting closer. And that's when you start saying, well, I wonder if I've been right all this time. Boy, if I've been wrong, this is going to be a this is going to be a mess. And that's when you have envious agnostics. Like I told you about the other day. With that entertainer who's in his 70s now. He lived a proud and cocky life till now. Now he sees that final exit getting closer and closer. He's beginning to say, you know, I'm not sure about this. Because there's no hope. In Christ we have a hope. John 14, verses 1 through 3. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, but I've told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me. That you also may be where I am. And lastly, 1 Corinthians 13. For now we only see a reflection, as in a mirror. But then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. See, this life isn't the end of it. We're all going to spend eternity somewhere. There's only two options. And the only way we make heaven is through Christ. You'll never be good enough. You'll never make amends enough. However good you think you are, to tip the scales in your favor, I promise you before the week's over, you'll be done some bad things that tipped it the other way. Because that's a sure formula for defeat. And too often, when people get in that mode, they like to do like Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin, as he got up older, decided he needed to make a few improvements or he was going to check out of life early, the way he was living. But he didn't like the 10 Commandments, so he made 10 of his own. And after 2 weeks, he had broken all 10 of his own commandments. See, that's the way it works. when we try to earn God's approval through good works, we can't do nothing. In fact, Paul said it this way. He said, not only will our fallen nature not submit to God's law, it can't.
True.
Not only will I not jump off this building to show you I can fly, I can't fly. You cannot do enough good stuff to make God look at you and go, wow. Gee whiz. Boy, man, I didn't know you was going to be that good. Apart from Christ, Paul said, apart from Christ, everything I've accomplished in life, and he accomplished a lot. I mean, he had the resume that would be at the top of the stack if you were hiring somebody. He said, everything I accomplished, apart from Christ, I count as dung. Now, a lot of folks may not know what dung is. Manure, cow patch. That's right, Lord. God's calling us for the FaceTime. Well, so what's the point? If you're going through Baca right now, your perspective has a lot to do with the experience. If the Spirit of God dwells within you, foster that relationship. Nurture that relationship. Spend more time with God than you were spending before. Press into God. And if you will, guess what? You're going to discover that you're going to find some springs of refreshment along the way. And that you're going from your strength to His strength, to His strength, to His strength. And just about the time you think it's all running out and you're going to fall, boom, here comes another load. But what about us who want to encourage somebody who's going through it? Well, let me give you these recommendations and then we're done. They need us to be there for support, not to fix. They need us to be there to support and not to fix. In fact, if you want to get someone offended real quick, try to fix them. And I know it's well-intentioned, but it doesn't come across that way. Number 2, do not pressure or criticize them for not getting over it. I'm going to tell you, for someone who's gone through a very dark time, especially if it involved the loss of someone very close to them, they do not get over it. They get through it. But that experience is going to be a permanent part of their life. Now, it doesn't have to overshadow their future, but it'll always be with them. So stop all the get over it stuff and be happy. Because it's not founded in anything biblical or in reason. Number 3, if you do not know what to say, say nothing. Number 4, do not be shocked if in the beginning they say nonsensical or offensive things. And, you know, I've actually heard people try to correct someone who had just lost a loved one, and it was unexpected, and they were in total trauma response to it. And they're sitting there, and they're just, their brain's trying to figure out what happened, so they just kind of say random stuff. And they say something about, I'm so mad at God about this. Oh, honey, don't say that. Don't, now let's get it back right here. They'll get back to right. Right then, they don't need correction. Right then, they need support. Number, 4 or 5. Discourage them from making major decisions. So, this isn't time to correct, but if they say, you know what, I'm so bent out of shape on this, I'm just going to pack up my family, we're moving to Alaska. Well, you can say, honey, let's think about that a while. Just put that on the back burner for now, and let's get through this right. You don't have to say, that's stupid. Number 6, do not coerce new commitments that would be taxing on them. It's like going to the funeral, and there's the wife, and the husband just died, and someone goes up to her and says, honey, we're so sorry this happened, but I tell you what, since you're accustomed, know what it feels like now, well, we're going to put you in charge of bereavement ministries, and we want you at our staff meeting tomorrow. Or remember that Sunday school class we told you about? Next Sunday it's yours. And lastly, most important, pray for them. Pray for them. Do unto them like you would want others to do unto you. And speaking as one who has been approached by the fixer, I thought you'd be over this by now. I can tell you that leaves a bitter taste in people's mouths. Because every time I see that woman now, I'm reminded of that. And I know it can be well-intentioned. But we know where the road of good intention leads. The main thing they need is your presence. And do it, as Paul said in Galatians, when restoring somebody who's been ensnared in sin, do it considering yourself. Because one day you'll be on that journey. Everybody has an appointment in backup. And oftentimes you'll find that you get older, you have many appointments in backup. But the good news is Christ has overcome backup. And he's doing it for a reason. And if we will press into him, his reason will be accomplished in us, and we will leave backup. And when you leave, chances are he's going to use your experience in the life of someone else who's going through backup at that time. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 4. Glory be to the God of grace and all mercy, who gave us grace in our time of need, so that we can turn around and give that same grace we receive to someone else who's going through the same thing. And I know that's not what we want. We don't want to have to deal with those things, our trips through Bible. We want to forget about them. But God says, nothing is ever for nothing in my hands. So, Father, I thank you for everyone who came today. Lord, I know that some here may be going through the valley of Baca right now. It's the valley of sorrows. Lord, I pray that something that was said here today will resonate. Lord, that they'll draw strength from you, that they'll press into their relationship with you. And Father, I pray for the rest of us who may be called upon to help someone who's going through the valley of Baca in their life. Help us, Lord, to be patient. Help us, Lord, to be support. And help us, Lord, to be effective representatives of yours. Help us to see, Lord, that we're all in this together. We're all members of one body. one member hurts, all hurt. So, Lord, I just thank you that you have given us the solution for these dark times. May we put them into practice, I pray, in Jesus' name. Lord, I do want to pray for those who are not with us today due to sickness or like for Jerry and anyone else, Lord, who's struggling with grief. I pray for peace. I pray, Lord, that your presence will be felt like never been felt before. And Lord, I pray for the sick that you will bring healing to their bodies. Lord, do what only you can do and be that great healer. And I pray for everyone here today that they'll prosper and be in health as their souls prosper. In Jesus' name, amen. Have a great week. Stay safe. And I hope to see everyone next week. And whenever we hear, we need to have just a quick